Wow. It is absolutely great to be able to be here tonight. I want to thank Allison in particular, but also the entire PACE board for their support in my receiving this very, very special recognition. I really appreciate it. I also wanted to give special thanks, which I don't often do, to my husband. Should give him much, much more. He has been my life partner for over 45 years. And I got to tell you all, he is the best travel agent on the planet. We have had numerous flight cancellations. We were in California less than 24 hours ago, and somehow managed to still get here, despite all of those, despite rerouting, and maybe most importantly, the arrival of our latest grandchild. My daughter and her son, who you saw, who that baby might come any day, decided to come yesterday. I also want to thank all of the family and friends who managed to still get here, despite, I know, challenges, whatever the distance, still being able to come and to see such a wonderful full room for such an important honor to honor our after-school educators. Your presence makes this evening just that much more special to me, and I'm incredibly grateful. I also want to call out once again our 5 absolutely outstanding after-school educators. Christy, Gail, Freddie, Jonathan, Gina. In our challenging and very polarized world, people who have committed to serving the youth of New York City in such wonderful and unique ways. I am truly in awe of all of you, and thank you for the work that you do. I grew up close to here in Westchester County, the child of 2 working parents. I was the youngest in my family, and probably like many stories, my oldest sister was given the job of looking after me after school. It was not her favorite assignment, especially as she got to high school age. I was soon put into every after-school program my parents could find. But at that time, there was not a lot to offer. I was put in after-school sports teams, which was not a good match for either my interests or my skills. I was put into a weekly bell ringing at our local church. That was a much better match because it had lots of math involved in reading music. I did enjoy that more. What I would have done to have been near to one of your programs, and more importantly, had one of you as a teacher, a mentor, or a coach. For the most part, I had to figure out life for myself. I recently came across a book titled Mattering by Jennifer Breheny Wallace, which I think summarizes well what I personally discovered and what Jennifer asserts is a basic human need for all of us. We need to matter, to feel valued, needed by others, and to have a sense of purpose. These have been the key motivators for me throughout my life. I started my professional career working for Hewlett-Packard in the heart of Silicon Valley. I don't look at all like your standard software engineer. That was true in the 1980s, and unfortunately, it's still true today. I quickly determined that my biggest value to the organization was not going to be writing the best code or even coming up with the best new idea, but what I was good at was talking with my technical colleagues and translating their techno-speak into something mere mortals could understand. My value add, my purpose, became managing technical resources. I rose up the software development management chain relatively quickly once I realized this and had the courage to pursue it. After Hewlett-Packard, I joined Johnson & Johnson. J&J, with its mission focused on medical care, was a great fit for me professionally. But it was my years at the International Rescue Committee where I once again found a true calling. The IRC even now, is one of the largest humanitarian aid organizations in the world. The UN estimated that as of mid-2025, there were approximately 42.5 million refugees globally. These are individuals that have been forced to leave their homes, typically due to political conflict or climate change. IRC helps people affected by humanitarian crises to survive, recover, and build their lives. Early in my tenure at the IRC, I had the opportunity to travel to the Somalian border of Ethiopia. This is where many of the Somalian refugees at the time were living while they waited for government approval to resettle in a host country. Travel to these refugee camps is non-trivial. I flew to Addis, Ethiopia via Frankfurt, and then unexpectedly Saudi Arabia, but that's another story, before getting on a 12-seat UN plane for a 2.5-hour flight over some of the most arid, desolate land I have ever seen. We landed on a dirt path, then drove for 3 hours before rounding a turn and seeing 2 refugee camps in front of us, housing over 125,000 people. IRC staff stayed in what were graciously called guest houses. I don't recommend them, while they worked and supported the folks in the camps. There was no cell coverage, and power was provided for only about 14 hours a day via generators. As you might imagine, staff members who worked there, typically for 6 weeks at a stretch, were incredibly dedicated to the work that they did. They found tremendous personal value in helping individuals that were less fortunate than themselves and were now trapped in a limbo existence. I asked many of the staff while I was there, how might technology be able to help them day to day? After a long day at work at the camps and a group dinner at the guest house, staff members sat at long tables and pulled out their laptops to get caught up on email and work. What they told me they wished for was stronger Wi-Fi, connectivity, and the tools needed to have video calls with their families at night. Isn't that what all of us would want as well, regardless of our location? My purpose and how I and the team could add value to the IRC became immediately clear. Getting strong, reliable connectivity to everywhere IRC worked was not easy. It took a great team, perseverance, resilience, but we did it. Today, it remains one of the most personally rewarding projects of my entire career. One might not see the connection between refugee work in Africa and after-school teaching, but I do. A 2025 study commissioned by the Afterschool Alliance found that the parents of over 29 million children, that's greater than half of the school-age kids in the country, want after-school programming for their children, just as my parents did. But less than 7 million are currently enrolled. That's primarily due to a lack of programming, lack of qualified educators available to staff those programs. Changing that may feel overwhelming, similar to getting connectivity to some of the most remote and desolate locations around the globe. But I'm an optimist. I always remain positive and believe that together, in finding purpose together, working one step at a time, as PACE does here in New York City, can make a fundamental difference for all of our children. As a PACE board member, I see and hear how PACE champions the after-school workforce. Last year, over 7,500 after-school educators participated in over 170 professional development events held by PACE. Just amazing numbers. These are free or low-cost training. PACE convenes the youth-serving sector to exchange best practices, provide peer support spaces for after-school leaders. And over the years, I've watched as PACE team has put an emphasis on supporting small agencies. These agencies are often led by entrepreneurs of after school who design innovative programs driven by community needs. You've heard about some of these tonight. For me, PACE plays a vital role in helping to expand after-school quality and access. And by supporting PACE, we can all work towards a city where every child has access to transformative after-school experiences with caring and well-prepared staff. As a final note, that same 2025 study I referenced earlier found that 95% of parents with children in after-school programs are satisfied with the program their child attends. Hearing from just 5 of those teachers here in New York City, I completely understand why. Thank you.